All right, Brooks, I am super excited to chat with you today. You joined the gym in October of 2023, right before Christmas.
Yes, great time to do it.
You decided to join CrossFit, but also add nutrition coaching and work with me for nutrition. So added those two together when you joined. Tell me kind of what prompted you to reach out to Whole Strength and say, hey, I want to get started on my health and fitness journey. What prompted you to do that?
Yeah, I had been going to a gym before, but was kind of just going through the motions, I felt like, and wanted something different. I knew I wanted to not only get stronger in a fitness aspect, but also be healthier nutrition-wise. And I kind of just jumped in. I found the gym online and did some research, had a great meeting with Coach Ryan, and decided, you know what, I do want the fitness aspect of this, but I also know that I could use some help nutrition-wise too.
Yeah.
So that was just a kind of a moment where I said to myself, I want to make this investment in myself. I felt like I was going down a path that, I wasn't in danger of anything or, having catastrophic health issues or whatever, but I didn't want to get to a place, 10 years from now and look back and think, oh my gosh, what happened? I could have done something to prevent potentially, some health issues or whatnot. Yeah. So I was like, let's just make an investment in myself and see what I can really do and make it so that I'm not only here for me and a better person for myself, but for my wife and a potential family maybe one day. And I wanted to say, hey, let's really dive into this and embrace the fitness and nutrition aspect of Whole Strength that brings a lot of people together, I think.
I love that. I love how you talk about it being an investment. And what I thought was really cool was that you, like I said, you joined right before Christmas. I remember being at my house at home. I was at home for Christmas and we had our consultation virtually.
Yeah.
And what I thought was really cool about that is a lot of people start their journey, not everybody, but we do see it happen, like the holiday. I'll just get through the holidays and then I'll start in January.
Yep.
So what was cool about your mindset was that, hey, I'm in the middle of the holidays, but I'm going to do this. I'm about to start. You didn't wait. So speak to that for me.
Yeah, I think, again, just making that decision to invest and kind of jump in, it was a case of, like you said, so many people, I'm for sure guilty of it, right? Like January 1, all right, new year, new me, whatever. And I've done that so many times and then nothing happens. So I think the fact that I was able to get in right before Christmas, before everybody's like, all right, we're on our resolutions here. I think that really made a difference for me. And I think just to, have that consultation, have that mindset, be thinking of that, even though, it's still Christmas, you're still enjoying yourself like I was also thinking, okay, hey, I've got a plan when I'm coming out of this. I'm not just going to come out all willy-nilly and say, all right, new year, new me, but what does that mean,
yes.
Right? So to not only have that consultation, but, to be in the gym as well with Coach Kyle, having fundamentals and, I came in with him on New Year's morning.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
So
you did.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy's in it.
He's like, do you want to come in at 8 a.m. New Year's Day? I was like, sure, why not? Let's do it. So I wouldn't recommend that necessarily, but that was a great way to be able to jump in as opposed to, not that there's anything wrong with everybody else coming in after New Year's Day, but I think to really dive in at that point and say, hey, you know what? You want to do this, let's just go for it. And so even though, like I said, I was still enjoying myself at Christmas time, but I definitely already had that mindset of, all right, we've got a plan and we're already putting it in place.
Yeah, I love that you spoke to having a plan, because in our initial consultation, right, we did make a plan and we were like, hey, okay, we're going to start here. And so you going into the new year, you weren't just doing this by yourself. We actually had a plan and you went into this year, 2024, with a mindset of, okay, I know what I'm doing. My goals are X. This is what I'm working towards, and this is my plan, and this is where we're going to start. Small little action steps. So take me back to, January after the holidays when, you finished fundamentals and we really got into things. Tell me how that was for you, starting a new year off with a plan versus how it was before.
Yeah. I mean, just night and day. I think like I said before, when I was at the gym, and I think that's what I really noticed from being in the gym was the amount of effort that I was putting in by myself compared to when I got here with a coach telling me like, hey, this is what you should be doing. Totally different. The classic, you go home, you can't walk up the stairs, but it feels good, like in a good way, right? You're like, I feel like I accomplished something. And I think the same thing nutrition wise. I think one of the biggest things that we talked about maybe in those first couple months was, feeling satisfied but not stuffed. Or I think one of my biggest things was, if I'm in a situation where there's a spread.
Yes.
And I'm just like, well, this food's here, somebody's got to eat it, right? And, kind of getting past that mindset and, the Super Bowl in February comes to mind.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
I went into that and I was like, I know there's going to be a lot of food here, but you know what? I got my plate of food and I enjoyed it and I enjoyed the game, and I didn't have the mindset of like, well, I know there's a plate of brownies over there. I was like, well, that doesn't mean that you have to eat all of them. So I think, the accountability was huge. And just, again, realizing, I think that there was, for the first time for me, really a bigger goal in mind, and knowing the fitness and the nutrition were kind of playing off of each other. It's kind of cyclical, right? Like if I know that if I have a bad meal the night before, well, I'm not going to be as good in the gym. And if I'm not as good in the gym, then I might revert back and say, well, you weren't good there, so let's not be good here either. So it all was fascinating to me just to see how it really was intertwined with each other. And I think, like you said, just going into the new year with an actual plan, as opposed to me just saying in my head, all right, well, I'm going to work out now and I'm going to eat healthy. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, well, nice try, right?
Yeah.
So totally different this time around.
Yeah. So I hear you say that the accountability was really helpful for you and important. Speak to that accountability specifically in nutrition coaching, like the 6 months that we worked together. What was different before versus having me as your coach, specifically with food?
Yeah, I think just knowing, one, that we were going to talk about it every couple of weeks, that we would have our one-on-one sessions, and knowing that I didn't want to come in and say, you would say, how are your 2 weeks? And I would say, I didn't want to be the guy that was like, oh, well, I fell off the wagon for a week, right? Like there was, I think, again, just going back to the beginning, realizing that I wanted to invest in myself, making a plan, and then following through with that accountability and learning new things along the way too. I think the app was great, watching a video every morning, and just discussing different things. Like we would switch things up. We would focus on, okay, we're going to have more protein at breakfast. And we're going to focus on, getting in different nutrients at lunch. And then we're going to focus on the plate method at dinner. I think just to bring in little aspects of things that, I think before I was like, oh yeah, I know this. But I didn't know it to the scope that it was going to be helpful for me moving forward in that sense. I think just the biggest part of that accountability for me was just knowing that, hey, there's someone else who is passionate about this, who is helping me through this, as opposed to me just saying, all right, I'm going to eat healthy for 2 weeks and then what happens? That was huge, just having someone along the way to say, how are you doing with this? What's going on here? It just made such a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think as you were speaking then, I thought back to, in our initial consultation, I asked you about your why. Like, why do you want to make a change? Like, why is this important to you? And I think you really intrinsically stuck with that as we worked together. You really knew the reason why you were doing this. You made an investment in yourself, and it was important enough for you to keep staying consistent. Yes, there were times where we'd be in our session and you were like, well, I maybe didn't follow through like I wanted to, but you always took the next action step and got right back to your habits. So speak to that part of things. Maybe not being as consistent one day, and then how was your mindset different? How's your mindset changed?
Yeah, totally. I think the first example maybe that comes to mind about that was Memorial Day weekend. That was a time where, we usually go to the lake house and there's food all the time and you're kind of eating whatever you want. And I think for me, I would be someone, previously who would say, all right, Memorial Day weekend, let's eat whatever we want. And then I would get home and say, oh, well, you had Monday and Tuesday, you might as well keep doing it the rest of the week. As opposed to, you can still enjoy yourself for a couple of days, but then get back on it. Don't let it spiral, right? I think that was a huge difference for me, or just, it didn't even have to be a holiday.
Yeah.
I think things, I think for me,
life happens.
Yeah, sometimes I would, we talk about like being good through the week and then don't fall off the wagon on the weekend. And I think I'm someone who, well, I had a big old dessert on Friday night, I might as well keep it going the whole weekend. Like, no, you don't have to do that. You can enjoy yourself. And I think that's what's nice about it too, in realizing that, because I'm like, I love sweets. I just do, right?
We talked about that.
Like, big old piece of chocolate cake, love it. But I think I realized that, hey, you can still have that.
Yeah.
Just don't fall off and do it every night or every other night. I think that was big for me, was realizing that you can still work toward your goals and hit your goals while still enjoying other parts of life.
Yes.
You don't have to give everything up. And I think that was big for me, to realize that, if it's a special occasion, like have a piece of cake, but then come into the gym again the next day, have a great breakfast, just little things that you can do to kind of get back on track. That was such a switch in my mindset from previous years, since before.
Yeah. So getting back to it instead of saying, okay, well, I had a stretch here, I'll just kind of keep going and then stay in that cycle.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking to the kind of lifestyle, right? You and your wife, y'all love desserts, kind of go out to eat, things like that. And I remember us talking a lot about, hey, what's important to you for like the lifestyle that you want to live? If that's going out to eat with your wife or having a glass of wine here and there and enjoying a dessert, hey, that's okay. Let's see how we can fit it in to your nutrition lifestyle so that it is sustainable and you're still making progress towards your goal. So I'm really glad you spoke to realizing that I can still have these things, but maybe let's look at how often and how much to where I'm still incorporating other things that still align with my goals. But this is sustainable for the long run.
Absolutely.
Not just a 3 or 6 month white knuckling thing, but it's something that you can do forever, right?
And I think I realized that years ago, even before I joined, I kind of realized that, you can sit here and say, all right, no dessert for 2 weeks, no this, no that, but it's like, you're gonna come back to it eventually, right? So I think that was a big thing too, in realizing that this is not a quick fix. This is not a 30-day lose 10 pounds. Okay, but then what, right? Like, this is a lifestyle change. And it's not even, I think even the word change, like, you think lifestyle change, like there's not drastic changes, right? Like for me, it was saying, hey, like, what's healthy, you know that this piece of grilled chicken is healthier than this piece of fried chicken. Like my brain knows that. It's just a matter of making those decisions consciously. But again, having the accountability in nutrition, in the gym, and just realizing that, you can make these small little tweaks and they can become sustainable and you can see real results off of that. I think that's a big thing. It's like, I've never really tried a diet per se, because I think I realized that those don't necessarily work, because what happens when you're done with the 30 days?
Exactly.
Right? So I think a big thing for me was realizing that Is it a lifestyle change? Yes, but are they drastic changes? You don't have to make crazy changes and say, you can only have juice for breakfast and
eliminate all these things.
Yeah, and you're eating grilled chicken and broccoli every meal every day for the rest of your life. Like that's not the case. That's not realistic either.
Yeah.
So I think that was a huge thing for me, was seeing that, like, yes, you can incorporate nutritional changes and you can incorporate changes in the gym while also still living a pretty enjoyable life. Like I don't think there was any time, in the last, what are we in August now, in the last 8 months, I don't think there has been any time where I've been miserable because of something that I'm doing. If anything, I feel better about everything that's come together. Nutrition, fitness, everything. So I think I think overall, I think that's the biggest thing, is just realizing that this is something that is sustainable, it's practical, anybody can do it. I think I recommend it to anybody. That it is possible to see changes without thinking that you're gonna have a miserable life.
Overhauling everything in your life. And I was just thinking specifically one of our sessions, we did an InBody because we tracked your progress monthly, did a monthly InBody, and I think you had been on vacation 1 week or weekend, and we came in and did an InBody, and you just maintained, right? You just maintained what your last InBody said, and what I thought was really cool is that you saw that as like progress. You saw that as a great thing, because I remember you saying, I didn't go overboard, but I enjoyed, I think you were with your family, you were at the lake maybe, I don't remember, but you enjoyed, didn't super overindulge, and had a great time, came back, and you were like, wow, it was, you said it made you realize that you could still enjoy, and the consistency that you've created outside of that 1 week or weekend. It's like, hey, you can still do this, but you can maintain these results too.
And I think realizing, like, something I learned, the amount of calories, the amount of fat that you have to consume to actually gain a pound. Because I'm someone who I like to see what I weigh, usually almost every day. And there would be times where you go out and, I love Italian food, right? So you go out, you have big old chicken parm or whatever it is, and the next morning you weigh yourself, it's like 4 pounds. It's like, okay, well, you didn't really gain 4 pounds.
Right.
It's water retention, it's different things like that. And so, being able to realize, again, things in moderation, balancing things out, going on a trip and being able to maintain and come back and say, oh, hey, I enjoyed myself, but I'm not 10 pounds heavier.
Exactly. And you just get right back to your routine.
Exactly. And that's motivating too, is to get right back to it. I think that's another aspect of, the InBody is so fascinating to me, to see the muscle composition and things of that nature, whereas that number on a scale is so much more than just, how many calories did I consume? And I think that is one of the biggest eye openers that I've had throughout the process, is seeing that, okay, I might have only dropped a pound on the scale, but you're gaining muscle, you're losing body fat percentage, that sort of stuff, to me is way more motivating even than just seeing one number on a scale.
Exactly.
And I would say personally that, I can look at a number on a scale, and I've had it in the last couple of months, whereas, I could be the same, a number that I was in March or April, and have that same number in June or July, but I feel totally different. And that is a huge eye opener of, the work that you do in the gym and the work that you do nutrition wise, to say, I don't feel as sluggish or disappointed in myself as maybe I did a few months ago at this number, as I do now at this number. And that has also been really huge for me.
Yeah, I love that you just talked about that, because I would love for you to speak a little bit more about that. Like, how did you feel before you really started working on your nutrition and fitness versus now? What's changed? I know you said you have, better energy, just feeling overall better, but what has, non-scale victories? Speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, energy, like you said, mindset. I mean, I love being able to come in the morning and get a workout. I feel like that just changes your whole day. You always hear, the folks that say, oh, they do it in the morning and it just, you feel more energetic, you feel like you can get things done. And for me, that really is true. So that's been a big thing. I've had clothes fit better, fit differently. That's been a super big victory. And again, I think just the biggest thing for me, I think, is just feeling better overall, feeling healthier. And that's, there may not be in a moment to say something tangible to say, oh, like, yep, lost a pound, feel healthier today, which that is still true to a point. But yeah, I think just, being able to come into the gym or, having a healthy meal and realizing that, oh, hey, I got enough protein, I'm full now, I feel healthier because I didn't gorge myself on, 10 brownies at the end of it. Just things like that. I think it's a mindset, energy, those are things for me that can be non-scale victories, and I've had a lot, and you realize how easy they are to attain without, again, like we talked about, you don't have to be in the gym for 4 hours, you don't have to drink protein shakes at every meal. Like there's ways to enjoy yourself without going overboard or going crazy.
Yeah. I would love to hear how nutrition specifically helped you in your workouts. We worked on kind of pre and post workout nutrition. So I'd love to hear how that really helped in providing you some energy for your workouts and how your workouts have changed over the last 7 months.
I think the biggest example is, as I said, I'm someone who likes to do it in the morning. So just having a little burst of energy when I was first doing my fundamentals, I was someone who just would wake up and just go, wouldn't eat anything, wouldn't really even drink, maybe a little bit of water, but not much. And I noticed during my fundamental training in here even that, maybe I need a little something. I was getting either a little hungry or a little lightheaded sometimes. And we just determined that a little applesauce pouch. I mean, I was doing the trick, and I still.
Are you still doing it? Yes.
Still do it. And that for me, it's something small, it's something little, but it gets a little bit in me, and I'm able to carry that through the workout. And then in breakfast as well, I'm a big don't have a huge breakfast unless it's on the weekends. I might have 4 eggs and some berries or something like that. But I've just never been a huge got to consume 1,000 calories in the morning kind of person. So I think my typical breakfast was like a banana and some peanut butter. And I still have been having that, but a big thing that we added was some Greek yogurt, just as a way to get some more protein in, and to be able to come in here and do a big workout, and then have a banana, have some peanut butter, and also have some Greek yogurt. That can get me through to lunch. And that was something before that, missing that little extra boost of protein. You hit the 10 a.m. or the 11 a.m. mark, and it's like, I can't make it till lunch. I've got to have something. So, for me, that was kind of a little bit of a trial and error, finding out, okay, what is going to work for breakfast to get me to lunch? What is going to work for lunch to get me through to dinner? And that's not to say that you can't have a snack, because you totally can. But I haven't noticed that I've needed that, because I am way more than before having appropriate amounts of protein in meals. And that in turn, I've noticed in the gym, we were just talking about this morning, leveling up on a deadlift. And I know that is something, those victories too, I look back to January and I'm thinking, there's no way I could have lifted that much in January. So, I'm not lifting 350 pounds over my head, but it's still a huge change from, knowing where I was fitness-wise at the beginning of the year to now, just to being able to do that. And I think that that's something that, you're not going to come in one day and a week later be able to lift 200 more pounds. That's not realistic. But I think over time, these little changes and these little victories, that's what's really cool, is to start in January and now 8 months later say, wow, I was only here and now I'm here, and I'm still working towards so much more.
Do you feel like the 6 to 7 months that we worked together, do you feel like that was a long time? Do you feel like you had your patience was your expectation of things and your patience and just having grace with yourself, do you feel like that was in a good spot those last 7 months?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it was like I don't think it was too long. I don't think it was too short. I think it was an appropriate amount of time to again really invest, realize that like this isn't a 30-day thing, and then we're gonna jump off. I think, like you said, to give myself grace to realize that not every day is gonna be perfect. You're not always going to hit the plate method at dinner. You're going to have a dessert, or I like red wine. Like I'm going to have a glass of wine from time to time. But at the same time, realizing that, like you said, give yourself some grace. Like enjoy yourself. For me. I think that's a huge thing, was improving my relationship with food and nutrition, because like you said, I like to go out to eat. I love a 4-course meal. I love to enjoy myself and try new things. But if and when I would have a meal like that, not beating myself up after the fact, saying, that's okay, you enjoyed yourself. Did you consume 2,000 calories at dinner? Yeah, probably. But let's move on the next day. Let's get back on track. And I think that was big for me, just over that amount of time, realizing that, there were multiple instances where that would happen, and I think before I would have really beaten myself up over it, and now it was like, all right, that's fine. You enjoyed yourself, but let's get back on track. And that was again, having the accountability, just the different things that I learned about what I was putting into my body, like all made such a huge difference in realizing that it's okay to still do the things that you enjoy, but you don't have to do that every night, and I didn't want to do it every night anymore either. I think it's another mindset thing, is just realizing that if you want to make a change, like actually really commit to it, but have that accountability. And huge difference.
I think what was really cool in working with you is that I noticed that you always took ownership of your decisions and your actions. And I think that is what I see when I work with people is, so much progress can be made if we get to a point where we take ownership. Like, okay, yes, I made this decision, but I am going to take this action. Like, not putting the blame on any other circumstances or anybody else, but like, no, like, this is me. This is my decision, and these are my choices, and I take full ownership. And yeah, maybe I enjoyed this dinner and overconsumed. It was my choice. But I'm going to make the choice tomorrow and get right back on track. So you always took ownership, and I think that's why mentally you made so much progress in your relationship with food and nutrition, is because you just took full ownership. You were like, yeah, this is what I did, but I own it, and I'm going to move on.
I think that's something I realized too, and I still think about that. Like, the example of going out to a restaurant, like I had to tell the waiter to bring me that. Like he didn't just bring me a plate of pasta and a plate of chicken, that sort of thing, right? So like, I made that conscious decision, and on the contrary too, there have been definitely times where I've gone out to eat where I have made a better decision maybe than I would have before. And I think that's been big too, is to realize that, I've come back to that satisfied, not stuffed mantra a lot, because I was getting sick of leaving restaurants, like legitimately feeling sick, right? Where for that half an hour or that hour that you're actually eating and enjoying, by the time you walk out, it's like, why did I do that? So that's been a big thing too, is realizing that, sure, it's great for 30 minutes, but then how bad are you going to feel tonight?
Effect,
How bad are you going to feel in the gym in the morning? If you even make it to the gym, if you tell yourself, oh my gosh, I can't even move, I can't even fathom going to the gym. So that's been a big thing too, is like, realizing, like you said, just taking ownership and saying nobody is shoving food down my throat, right? Like I'm the one who's making those decisions to have it. And do I still do it every once in a while? Yes. If the pasta's really good, I'm probably gonna keep eating.
But what I think a win here is that you just became so much more aware and so much more open to, like, going back to, you made the investment, going back to your why, and making, even just better decisions at restaurants over time. Consistently doing that, you can still see progress. So it's August 2nd.
Sure.
What do you
Crazy.
see the rest of the year looking like for you? I mean, you're still continuing the habits that we worked on, which I think is really awesome. Still lunching it, still prepping the lunch,
Yep.
things like that. Yeah. Still maintaining habits, and I think that's huge to speak to, is because that's the goal, right? When you work with a coach, the goal for us is to give you the tools to help you be successful in whatever you're wanting to achieve, those small little habits. And that's what the habits are. They're for you to learn, get consistent with, and hopefully continue to do and build more habits on top of that. So I love to hear that you're still continuing those habits. For the rest of the year, what do you hope to accomplish and achieve?
Yeah, I think just, like you said, sticking with habits that I've been able to develop, getting stronger in the gym, having those mental victories too. Like, you know, we're going to Italy in a month, and
Jealous.
that's going to
Oh
be.
my
I feel like I'm the last person that I know to go to Italy.
Oh, you've never been?
Never been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've been
so
once.
like we've talked about, there's going to be a lot of pasta. There's going to be a lot of wine.
Pasta and wine.
But I think that's going to be a great way to say, you know, you're on vacation, enjoy yourself, but also realize that, you know, there are other goals in mind. There are other things that I want to achieve, and so I think just that's a big thing for me, is looking forward to that and how am I going to approach that. And then we've talked about this before. Like, I have already thought about what the holidays look like this year.
Yep.
Because I think last year, and I think in a lot of years for me, I would hit Thanksgiving and say, all right, you know, this is kicking off 6 weeks of just eating whatever you want. And I have already thought about that, and at the very least said, all right, well, you got to keep going to the gym. You can't just say it's party time, it's the end of the year, go crazy. So, and I don't want to ruin the work that I've made. I don't want to ruin the progress that I've made. I think that was a big thing that we talked about earlier, was, you know, January 1, all right, new year. But yet, every year that I would say new year, there were 5 or 10 more pounds on the scale than the last time I said new year.
Yeah.
Right? So clearly that wasn't doing anything. So I've already thought about that. Like, don't enjoy yourself, which I know that I will, but also keep in mind that you don't want to ruin the progress that I've made in nutrition, in the gym.
Yeah.
So I think those are kind of two big things, you know, in the day-to-day, just sticking with healthy habits, but then also preparing for bigger life moments, and realizing that you can still totally enjoy yourself without absolutely falling off the wagon.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm looking forward to. And then even, you know, I love the holidays. I don't want to rush them through, but I'm really fascinated to see, even when we get into 2025, what that looks like for me coming out of that, and just appreciating what I've been able to do in this last year, and then continuing to move forward with that, and being able to say, you know, yes, again, it's a new year, new me maybe, but really kind of same
Just
me.
continuing on.
Continuing on. And
Yeah.
that's, you know, we talk about a lifestyle thing, and just, continuing on with what I've built in this last year. That I think that's something I'm really looking forward to.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. And whenever I hear people, not just clients, but just like people in general, get to a place of freedom in their nutrition and fitness, or just like health journey, where they can enjoy the holidays, still kind of like stay on the habits, what's important to them, enjoy a Thanksgiving meal, enjoy a Christmas meal, and then roll into the new year just being like, hey, this is just what I'm doing. This is not a new year, new me. This is just a new year.
Yep.
And I'm continuing on my health journey. That's what I want.
Yep.
So
100%.
awesome. Well, thank you for just this chat today. It's always really good to talk to you. And, you know, I'm always here to help you with the rest of the year.
Of course. Thank you for everything.
Of course. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for